this is Mark Denham, radio presenter, audio producer, podcaster, and voiceover artist. It's the audio journey, and today we are looking at EQ. Now, we're going to split this over two sessions. There are two distinct different bits we're going to do with EQ. Firstly, we're going to look at the basis of EQ, and in that, I mean, we're going to try and equalize a couple of voices. There is no one-size-fits-all solution for your EQ. I could show you the preset that I use on my voice. You could copy that exactly and you could sound okay, or you could sound awful. Because the important thing to understand here is that everybody's voice is different. And not only is everybody's voice different, everybody's microphone is different too. So the first thing to understand is there are principles, but there is no one-size-fits-all for EQ. By everybody's voice is different, what I mean is everybody has different frequencies in their voices, which is what makes us sound unique. Some people will be deeper than others, some people will have a more sibilant sound than others, and some people will be very, very heavy in the mid-range. That is the way it is. There's nothing you can do about that. That is the way it is, and that is your voice. Certain things like having a cold, like I have now, will also change the sound of your voice. Just make minuscule changes in the sound of your voice as well. The other thing to understand here is your microphone. All microphones are different. Now, by that I mean, obviously, if you have two identical microphones, then your EQ will be pretty broadly standard across the two of them. But if you were, say, I am recording now on this microphone, if I was to go somewhere else and record on a different microphone, all microphones have different patterns, and some boost some frequencies and cut other frequencies differently to others. So again, your frequencies from your voice going into your microphone, you can set your EQ. That wouldn't necessarily then be the case if you were to go somewhere else and record on a different microphone. Bring that back. You may need to tweak those EQ settings just a little bit before you get too much into doing anything. I'm going to drag in a couple of voices here that have gone together to make up the sweepers on my radio station here. And these are the male and the female voices. We'll have a little look here in the waveform.
Broadcasting from Slough. Streaming around the world, this is Atom Radio.
Now, there's a lot of background noise in that. For starters, we'll have a look at the female voice, which is much quieter.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Now, again, bit of background noise in that. So what we'll do is you can do this one of two ways. You can either do it in the waveform view. We'll just copy that one.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
There we are. We'll copy that to a new file. And what we'll do is we'll see if we can find the same one in here.
Graham Bell. And on the TuneIn app.
Got to be this one then. Got to be this one.
The Breakfast Show.
There we are. And then we'll copy those to new files. To clear up any confusion, we'll get rid of those. So that one is male. That one is female. Sorry, that one is male. And you can do this one of two ways. You can do this either in the waveform, which is what you call destructive editing, because any changes you made are then permanently done in that file. So if I was to add EQ to that, that is there, and it's there full stop. If I was to do it in the waveform, then it's added as it's processing that waveform, the original, it's done as it's processing that multi-session track. The original file is unchanged. So first things first here. First things first. I just want to, because, I mean, you know, the first thing you have to do, obviously, is restorative work minus 35. So the first thing we will do here is we are going to go in and we are going to apply under the dynamics effect a noise gate at minus 35, not 65, 35. A noise gate at minus 35, and we will let that get rid of that audio that is unwanted there in the background, and we will we'll have a little look now on the preview window. Hopefully that will look a lot better now, and it does. bit of reverb at the end. You can see that tailing off with a bit of reverb.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Okay, so that's that done, and we will apply that. We'll also do the same in the female voice as well. Again, not so much background noise here, but there is still some. So we'll go into the amplitude statistics window, scan the selection for a minus 36 this time. So again, amplitude, dynamics processing, and then we want minus 36 this time. And we'll set that to be 1, and that can be 10. And then we will apply that. That's much cleaner now.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
That's much, much cleaner now. Okay, right. So now we have two files that we can work with in terms of the EQ. We'll start with the female one because that's where we are. And we'll go in filter and EQ. And we will go with the parametric equaliser. That gives you this set of points here that you can move around. All right. So we'll go with default for starters.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
It makes no difference at all because it's a flat line. What you are in essence doing here is you are boosting the amplitude of certain frequencies. You are cutting the amplitude of other frequencies. Now, the first thing that I would suggest is that you apply a high-pass filter and put it at 80. Why would I suggest that? Because there's nothing in the human voice that is beneath 80 unless you have a particularly boomy voice, then there's nothing in there. So you can quite easily afford to get rid of that altogether. You've made no difference really
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
to the sound of the voice. Now what you're looking to do is you're looking to find some frequencies that you want to enhance. Having subtracted those, you're looking for some that you want to enhance. Let's have a little look here. You can see here, real time,
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
we have the broad spectrum of the frequencies in there. What we're going to do is we're going to try and boost up a little bit here.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
And then you can just sweep along until you find the bits of the high that you want to boost. Again, you have all of these points that you can move around the dial.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Too high there.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
And then you've added a little bit of clarity to the top end of that voice now. Again, we could perhaps move this one.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Added a bit of clarity as well. Now let's take this middle one here.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Just leave that on repeat.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
So if you go for a
The
boost
Breakfast
just
Show
around the
with Graham
1K
Bell.
there on this voice, again, that's working. You can also take out frequencies as well. If we use number 2 for that, let's have a go again.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Now it sounds
The
very
Breakfast Show
hollow.
with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show 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 with Graham Bell.
So if we put that back
The
there,
Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
that's not really made too much.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Not really made too much
The
improvement.
Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Okay, let's call that a day. And what we'll do, actually, hang on, before we'll do that, we will, and I just want to show you here now, we will save this as a preset, as EQ test, saved as a preset. And we will apply that there. Well, actually, no. Do you know what? I'm not going to apply it there. What I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to take a copy of that. I'll paste that in at the beginning. And then what we'll do is we'll have an EQ'd one and an uneq'd. By selecting that item and then hitting apply, we're not affecting this at all. So you have,
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
which then becomes,
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
and
The
you can hear that you have enhanced the higher frequencies there. Now, we'll do the same again with this one. We'll copy it, stick it back at the beginning, and we'll only work on the second one.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
There's a bit of reverb in there as well, which has been recorded in. Now, let me go back, filter and EQ, parametric equalizer, and if we go to EQ test,
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
You can hear one size fits all does not fit all. Definitely not. So we'll start again on the default.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
First things first, the high pass filter. Get rid of the rumbly low end.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Now let's boost up the high end.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. 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 The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
There is just a frequency in there that I just wanna get rid of. That you can just hear. It's a kind of a swooshy frequency.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
And you can see that what we have done is we have created something that sounds a little better. Again, if you're doing this, take the time to do it. Go through, sweep up the frequencies, sweep down the frequencies, find the ones that work for you.
The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell. The Breakfast Show with Graham Bell.
Now, another thing to bear in mind here, I'm going to find one of my own voices here. I'm not going to... Normally, I would just record something for this, but I am definitely not recording something for this with a cold. I do not want that. You'll recognize this from something that we did before when we... Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. Now, it may be that you think, oh, I want to sound really, really, really butch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, filter and EQ, go back to default, and I'm going to ramp up the bass. Let me just trim this up a bit so we don't have to hear all the silence at either end. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. And you may think, oh, wow, that sounds brilliant. Let me tell you why it doesn't. By creating a new multi-track session here. Again, EQ test. And you'll see now why this doesn't. I will drag this in, and I will also drag in some music here as well that we can use for this. So let's get some music, and there it is. And we'll just line this up here. What we will do is we will match the clip loudness so they are of the same perceived loudness. Otherwise, you'll never hear this at all. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. Now, you can hear that doesn't sound particularly wonderful because that lower end is competing. Now, if I was to go into here now, filter and EQ, if I go in here, parametric equaliser, and think, yeah, I want to sound really, really, really massively butch. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. You can hear straight away that I am now competing with that by adding an awful lot of muddy bass. So again, the high pass filter cut off the bass. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening. And then I can go in and I can boost some of the other frequencies as well that I want to boost. So I'll mute that off, and then we will loop this. And we can just boost some of the frequencies here as well. So go back to track 1, parametric equaliser. What I could do is I could just cheat here and go with this. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. And then if you place that over this. Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. That is much, much easier to hear than if we were just to go for a basic filter and EQ, parametric equalizer, default, and loads of bass. Turn off this one and just have this.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
The other important thing to remember, of course, is that underneath 80 hertz, there is nothing really of audibility. People may be listening in the car, and if they are, there's a lot of low rumble noise. If they're driving, say, on a motorway, there's a lot of low rumble noise. There's no point in boosting frequencies in your voice, because all you'll then be doing is losing them in that low rumble noise as well. Now, obviously, if we were to go into the essential sound panel here, we could set this as dialogue, we could set this as music, and we could set a bit of ducking on it. Bring these fade times right down to minimum of 50, they'll go, and then you can hear.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
And you can hear with that still heavy bass on, it doesn't sound good, even with the music ducked by the essential sound. Try again with the other EQ.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
That is why it is important then to get your voice right whilst you are setting the EQ, because you have to think of the end product of what you're trying to achieve here. Now, I'm going to go back into the waveform, into this one, which is, we'll normalize it up. Okay, so we'll normalize that up.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
Now, one other thing here I would say, if you have been asked to record a voiceover and send it in, all right, let's just have a little look again. We'll go into the parametric equalizer here.
Mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
You can see we have all the frequencies again there. Another way to look at this is the frequency analysis window. Let's play this through now on frequency analysis.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
Now, by pressing one, I've captured what's called a noise print. And you can see there that there is that. Now, if I was to go in here, and if I was to apply, let's say here, a 250 hertz low pass, and then I was to roll off there and roll off there, for example, it's going to sound terrible.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes.
Now, if I apply that, then obviously I've lost a lot of the volume in it, so I'll normalize it back up again. But then let's take it here in yellow this time. We'll capture a noise print.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
And you can see that that looks incredibly different now. And no matter what you do with the filter and EQ here, because you've taken out those frequencies.
Flawless tunes, flawless mixes. You're listening to You
cannot boost them back. So be careful. If you are being asked to record a voiceover for something, then a lot of people will put a touch of EQ on it and a touch of compression. Be careful, because when you then send that off, whoever is then going to produce the final article cannot undo your EQ. If you have cut all of the low off or all of the high off, you cannot put it back without A, the original untouched audio, or B, a re-record if you've done it destructively. So be careful what you send as well. There are also many benefits to EQ as well that you can use. We'll take a look at those in the next video. But the important thing from my point of view is we're going to go back to this.
Flawless tune.
Not that. We'll go back one more and undo it. Aha. Can't go back far enough here.
Flawless tune.
There we are.
Flawless mixes.
Now, the important thing for me here, when you're setting your EQ, not worried, job done, normalize it up. When you're setting your EQ, the important thing for me is that the first thing you do is that you go in and you do that high pass filter. What that means is anything beneath whatever number you put in there, I've used 80, anything beneath that does not get through. Anything above it does. That's the high pass. So the high frequencies get through.
Flawless tunes. Flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
And then don't be afraid to sweep these along while you're going.
Flawless tunes. Flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless. Flawless tunes. Flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
Sweep those along, find the good frequencies and boost them up a little bit. Don't go over the top. Again, if you find a bad frequency when you're sweeping downwards and you think, oh, it sounds much better without that, just widen this up and turn it in. See, there we are. Let's use number 4. If we boost that up, you can see now you have a very, very narrow.
Flawless tunes. Flawless mixes. You're listening to DJ Flawless.
And you can hear there that by narrowing that down, you can then narrow right into the frequency that you want. And you can either boost it up or you can cut it out. Hope this has been of some help to you. As always, get at me in the comments if you would like more information on this. The next part, we'll look at the other end of EQ and where you can use it, not just to make your voice sound better, but as an effect as well. Check out the website, markdenham.com, for the full series of this as well. And of course, if I can be of any help to you in producing something or in recording something for you, give me a shout via the contact page. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go make some amazing audio.